Alright, welcome to another video. In this one we will try to implement the feature where users can actually get badges from their achievements or quests in general. So previously we've implemented these badges, and the idea is when you finish a quest or an achievement, which is basically an invisible global quest, you can get these badges to your profile and they will show up in your public profile. So we'll implement this. I've prepared this quest, which is a daily that I finished, so we can collect a reward to test things. And then we basically just have to implement. So I think we need to go to the object where we define rewards first. That is in objectives within the validators folder. And here we have this object that defines a reward from a quest. And if we search reward jutsus, these are all the files where that occurs. So basically all the places where we do reward jutsus or any other of these, we need to do the same for badges, more or less. So here, reward badges will be a list of strings like jutsus. So this is a list of the IDs for the badges that will be rewarded. In this one, we have to, this is a method that checks whether we have a reward. It needs to check the badges as well. And now we get an issue because reward badges is not defined on the quests that we already have in the system. And the way to solve that is to create a parsed reward, which basically takes this sort validator and passes through this object, so that in the case where this object doesn't have reward badges, it will, the sort validator will input the default value. If we use this instead of reward, we should be all good for this file. Basically, we just have to go through all the files. So that was the bottom one, first one. Next one is the backend router. And let's start from the top here. So we need to add this. 2 seconds. Yeah, so we need to add this one, which will be reward badges. The next one is here, where we are basically fetching the badges. So to implement that one, we will need to import the database models. So here we're importing item jutsu, and we'll import badge as well. Here we import user badge as well. And we go back down there. And then we just need to update this. So everywhere it says jutsu, no, okay, let's say everywhere it says user jutsu, it needs to say user badge instead. And instead of, here instead of jutsu ID, it needs to say badge ID. And user ID is good enough. Here instead of jutsu, it needs to say badge ID, and we select from badge, we select from user badge. And I think here we might need to pull the image as well. Maybe not. I don't think that will help us actually. Oh. That was this part. Then we go to the this of course needs to be reward badges as well. And then finally in this one, this is because this backend endpoint basically returns a list, a rewards list, and we don't want to return just the IDs. So right now it's basically a list of IDs, and we instead want to return a list of names, which is better. And here now we will also return the actual badges because we want to show the images on the front end, and that is not contained within this rewards object. So that's it for that file. We'll go to the next one, which will be let me just think here. Yeah, okay. Let's just go through this quest. This whole thing is when we're editing things. So let's go to this quest. this code here is what is controlling what is popping up in the form. So here, as we edit this, we should get an entry for doing badges as well. This one is the same. Here we need to fetch the badges as well. Do that here. Fetch it from the backend. Go badges. Do an L5 loader, and that we add to our total loader list. Go batch get all, and here we might get an issue because this one is a paginated query. Basically, right now we need to give it arguments, but we don't want that, so we'll make these optional. And then I think we have to update this stuff a little bit. So let's do an optional limit. If it's not set, it'll be 100. Just past that. So this just updated that endpoint a little bit. And then this should not throw any red lines all of a sudden. So that's all good. Why? Okay, that looks good. This was okay. We added the loader, and then we were down here again. And down here we need to add badges if they exist. Reward badges. So this adds badges into this rewards area. And because badges is from a paginated query, see if it wants to show us the type, we have to access the data on the data property here. Loading, 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 come on. That's really slow. I think there's something wrong with my Docker setup right now. It's unusually slow. Yeah, as you can see, we have to access it through the data property because it's a paginated result. But now we see it here, and we select alpha tester, or let's say PvP champion. Save. I don't know if this will work. It seems to have worked, but before we do all that stuff, let's update everything else as well. So next, what we update is the logbook. So these are some of the visuals. We will add these names so you get told what badges you got. We'll put in the image afterwards. Let's just do it like this for now. Say we're done for. Then we need to go to this component, which is the one that shows you that's the list of quests that shows rewards. It needs to show how many badges you get. And here again we have the issue that we are not guaranteed that these quests actually have this field, because we have previously defined quests which don't have it. And that's an issue, and I don't want to make it an optional because that will just make the types more complicated to work with. So let's do like this, where we parse again, similarly to before, we just pass the reward through our validator. And by doing that, we guarantee that the default values are set from the validator's objectives. This should be good, I think. Nope. Something is wrong, is it? Let's just think. Objective reward, is that because I probably forgot what this one is named. Yeah, I had renamed it wrong, so this was better. Still complaining, let's restart ESLint, and we're all good. So guess that was it for this file. We go to the next one, the last one. This is our edit content method, and here again we need to fetch the badges data. That badge data API badge, it was called get all, just boom, 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 and it needs to be reward badges. Then we need to go where this is used. Reward badges, and we do badge data, and again we have to do that data field to get it from there. This should be it, I think. Perfect. Yeah, let's just refresh to see if it actually saved the PvP champion badge here. Seems to have remembered it. If we change to alpha tester, that should be the badge attached to this quest. So now if I push this button, it should give me, or did we, I don't think we actually implemented it so that it gives puts the badge into the user. So to do that, we need to go to the router down here somewhere. Here where we're actually inserting into the model. We need to go badges, was it badges data here? No, this was right. Badges. We insert into user badge. We loop over badges, and we do a badge ID instead of an item ID. So this should insert into the table. But actually, before we do this, so this part of the backend endpoint is what is kind of marking this one as finished, and we'll comment that out for now, so that we can just test how this looks. We can see now when it says you finished it, it shows the badge, but I also want to show the image in here. So we go back to logbook, and we have to update that a little bit, I think. So let's say we have the description on top, and then we do a div here that we give a class, oh come on, name flex row, because we want the image next to the text. And we do a div with a class name flex call, where we put in all these text entries that we already have. And let's say this one takes up 2/3 of the space, so we give it a basis 2/3. And then we need to import an image component from next image. I will have to figure out why my editor is so slow right now, but that I will do afterwards. So now we have the text, and after this we'll make another div, or maybe it should just be, no, because we need the basis. Let's just do it like this. We do basis 1/3 for the image, and because we have potentially multiple badges we want to show. So we'll show them above each other. Go like this. So badges, map badge, we need the index, go image component. It needs to have the key, otherwise it always complains. We need the source, that's the badge.image. We need a width, that will be 128, I think is fine. Height, so 128 is fine. Oh, height 28. And also the alt, otherwise it always complains as well. And we'll just set the name for that. So now it should show the badge image. Let's just try it. We'll click the reward button again. Has to reload all the code and compile it. Badges is not defined. Yeah, so we need to pick that up here. This is because we're on the front end now. Needs to compile again. So it's not finding the image. That's interesting. Why is it not finding the image? It figured out it was alpha tester. Interesting. Because in here, it's also the image does not exist on. Oh, okay. So if we go here to our router, I thought we didn't need to extend this, but we do. We need to put an image as well and fetch that in our query. So we do badge image. Go back and try again. Now it should be returned from the backend. So when I push this, I'm not sure it got that I saved this. Try again to see if it. Now it's for sure compiling. Oh. Yeah, then we get the image. Only thing here is I probably want on the, that would be on the flex row. I think we need item center just to make it a little bit prettier. Do again. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. So here we're getting the badge, and if I check my database, I go to user badge table, refresh, I see nothing. So we're not inserting it, but that's because we're not finishing this. We had commented all this out. So if I just quickly uncomment this, push this one again, it clears the quest because I finished it. And then if I look in the database, I have the badge now. Perfect. So the last thing we need to do is to show this stuff on my user profile, or the public profile. So we go in here, and this one is user ID and source page is users, this file. And basically we need to implement the box for showing our badges. And I think that should be very simple to do. I think we can basically just copy this. So now we have two with which users I recruited. Instead of recruited users, I say achieved badges. Here I go achieved through quests and help, like people helping the game. Profile. Oh, I guess we need to then update the profile, get public user or whatever thing. So we go for profile and routers, get user, this endpoint, that's the one. Okay. We need to get fetch this one. This is the one that fetches the user. We need to extend that a little bit. I don't think this is right. Get public user. This is the one. This is the ones that's fetching all this user data. And this one we will edit a little bit to say we also want badges. And for each badge, this is basically user badges. We also want the actual badge data. I think this should do it. Save. I think I need to restart my computer. And now then we should be able to, we're basically looping through the badges, which is a user badge. And this one, we don't have any link. We don't want to show a level for a user here. So we still want to put this stuff in a div. Complaints. We probably need the key here, otherwise it'll also complain. Then we'll do a class name text center or something like that. Here we don't do an avatar image, we just do an image. Image. Where are we at here? And this stuff is the not. This is source. We need to go user batch image. Else can be user batch name. This no width. Do 128 again. Height. I think this is more or less the stuff we need. Cannot read properties of undefined. Why is it not defined? I do badges with badges. That's the get public user. Get public user, is that not the one we're using here? Get public user. Get public user. Don't understand why this wouldn't work. This check here needs to go. Badges length needs to be above. And then there's some red lines. User is not defined. Yes, this needs to be again user batch name. And there we go. We have achieved batches. Perfect. That's it for this update. Thank you guys for watching and see you in the next video.